Hey everyone, welcome back to Rentalpreneur Journeys. I am your host and the founder of Futurestay, Phil Kennard. And today I am pleased to introduce all of you who don't already know her to Tanya Rooney, who runs Hey You're Here Properties. I absolutely love that name. I don't know Tanya well, but I think we're all going to get to know her a little bit over the next 15, 20, 30, however long we go for. But the first question I have for you, Tanya, before we even talk about your rentalpreneur journey is tell me about like the tone that we're supposed to read that name in. I love that name.
Yeah, so like that's something I would say. Like if somebody came over to my house, I'd be like, "Oh my God, yay, you're here!" Like that's the kind of attitude I have.
Okay,
And
okay.
our logo is actually it looks like a doormat that says, "Yeah, you're here." And there's shoes on it, and the original has all kinds of shoes around it. So we have pretty big properties. So like one of our houses can actually fit 20 people, but we're not allowed to have that many people. So it's probably like 14 to 16. And one of the reasons I have short-term rentals is truly because I love being able to have a spot for me and my friends to gather. And one of my favorite parts about that is when you have everybody over and then you look at the door and there is piles and piles of shoes. Like when there's like 15 pairs of shoes at your front door and it's because you have so many people over, it's like this beautiful, warm, fuzzy feeling of look at how many people are gathering in one spot to have great conversations, to make memories, to laugh, like stuff like that. So really that's like they're kind of paired together of like, I'm so happy you're here. And yeah, so all of my properties have a giant YAY somewhere in like bright pink and somewhere in each house.
That's such a cool brand story. And it's so, I mean, it seems like you really believe and feel that, really, really
Mhm.
interesting. And the reason why I ask is because like one could say that in two different ways. You could definitely
Oh
say it
yeah.
like slightly sarcastic, like, yeah, you're here, but like the way that you say it and meant it is really genuine. And
Oh yeah.
so okay, I got to ask you one more question. We have not gotten to tell the audience like about your rentalpreneur journey at all yet, but I have one last question about the topic. So, are you like in your own house, are you a shoes on person or a shoes off at the door person?
Actually, I don't mind having shoes on when there's hardwood. If there's carpet, I hate it. In my properties, that's actually something, I mean, you guys will end up finding out, but I'm in Minnesota, so snow and tracking snow through a house is awful. So I'm mostly like a shoes off. My husband's also a super germaphobe, so he hates shoes on. But if he's not around, and he's not probably going to listen to this, I have my shoes on
I'm
because
gonna
I'm a
send it to
rebel.
him so you're gonna get in trouble. My wife and I are super shoes off people,
Uh-huh.
and we love to host. And so I know that feeling that you're talking about. That is such a
Yeah.
like that there is something really heartwarming. I don't know how to
Yeah,
say it.
it's
It's like you
special.
feel yeah, it feels like not like you're special, but like
Mhm,
it is like there's a special thing happening when you look at
mhm.
your door and it's just like the whole entryway is all shoes,
Yeah,
It's so
it's
weird because I think
it's
people that
amazing.
don't like people that I mean maybe it's like are you an extrovert or do you consider yourself an extrovert?
Yes, I'm definitely
I
an
don't know, like
extrovert.
maybe it's a weird personality extrovert thing or whatever it is, but it definitely to me, literally just when you said that, like I got that feeling
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
like, oh my gosh, everyone's here and we're all gonna have so
I
much
know,
fun. And like,
it's
I'm so happy that I can help people, not help, but provide an opportunity for people to get to
have
spend
that
time with
too.
each other. Right.
Yeah, yeah, like, cause not very many people have a house. Like I said, like, one of our biggest house is 6 bedrooms, like, not everybody has an opportunity to have that many people in a house. So, like, around Christmas time, my husband has a pretty big family, there's lots of nieces and nephews. There
Yeah.
is about, like, a dozen, dozen and a half of us, and it's just fun, and another weird thing that I do when I'm around people like this, because I like to play games, like not necessarily board games, I really like card games, and if it feels like we're having a really good time, I will put a voice memo, I'll start a voice recording on my phone just to get like all the laughter and the conversations
Yeah.
and stuff. And like so in my phone I have these weird recordings of people laughing that have no context around them. And then I have pictures whenever I see a ton of shoes at the door. I used to take pictures. I
I
haven't done
love
it in
that.
a while, but it's specific about like it's like the embodiment of hosting and to me anyways. Like everybody has a different reason, but mine is like, yeah, girls weekends, let's go. Let's go do something fun or retreats with other people and just tons of shoes.
That's
So yeah.
beautiful. I mean, I want to hear and get and give you opportunity to share some of your background and story of how you got to where you are here. That is such a everyone has their own reason for hosting, right? I'm sure that your story will share more, but like the point that you got and where your brand is resonates, at least with me, in a really
Mhm.
meaningful way. And it's like, it's not like, some people are trying to like share these unique experiences and there's this home that's like, for me, it's really just about friends and family coming together and enjoying something together. It's that simple, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we
Um,
start for different reasons. Like, and some of it has to do with like, wow, I just need a space that I can actually host all kinds of people sometimes.
right. So where were you before? How did you end up in this crazy world of short-term rentals?
Yeah, so I started out in commercial real estate. I worked for this little company called CBRE, which is a huge, enormous
Tiny little company, yeah.
global commercial real estate company. And I accidentally started working there. Honestly, I don't think I believed I was actually in real estate until I worked at CBRE for 8 years. And the reason I decided I was in real estate was because I started flipping houses at that point. Like I never thought I was in real estate.
You were
And
like
now
in
in
corporate,
hindsight, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was in a corporate job and I did project management. So I was on a shared services team. I didn't buy and sell real estate. I didn't do any of the
Mhm,
brokerage or anything like that. But
mhm.
again, in hindsight, oh my gosh, I was so deep in it. Like I can read leases. I know about decommissioning spaces. I know how to move into spaces. I know things to look for when you actually walk into a space. So I had a ton of experience. So I just had a really rough weekend with a client that I was really annoyed and realizing like I don't want to feel like this anymore about
Mm,
clients with like a corporate real estate client. So I just like, I talked to some people at the gym and they told me to start flipping houses. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to. Like I started binging Bigger Pockets and this was already 6 or 7 years ago. So Bigger Pockets was very different back then. It was just Josh and Brandon at that point anyway. So I binged everything. There was probably only like maybe 50 or 80 episodes by then. So it wasn't hard to binge. And then I just kept following it. And then a couple, like I think that was in May. And then in August, I had a property under contract. So I started with flipping houses, realized that I could flip houses, make money, and probably quit my corporate job, which I ended up doing. And then during all of that, there was a little thing called COVID and George Floyd. So I'm in the Minneapolis St. Paul market and George Floyd summer was kind of intense. Yeah, it was weird because there was curfews and there was all these things. Well, I wasn't flipping houses in that neighborhood. I wasn't in Minneapolis. I was in St. Paul. But the blowback of that stuff happened kind of everywhere. So I
everywhere,
flipped a
everywhere, yeah.
house and it just didn't sell. Like it wasn't selling for what I wanted it to. So I was doing some back and forth with a couple of my what I would now call my mentors, but then they were really just friends. I was having some conversations about, what does it look like to sell this house on contract for deed? And then one of my buddies is like, Tanya, why have you ran Air DNA? And I'm like, I don't even know what any of that means. So he ran some numbers for me, hopped on a call with me, kind of told me, well, even on the light end, you should be able to make at least 50 grand a year with this house. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's give that a whirl. So I furnished it. And we still have that house to this day. It's a 5 bedroom, 3 bath in St. Paul. It does really well. People seem to like it. It stays pretty booked. It stays pretty booked for my market because I actually have really low occupancy, but
Okay,
I still make good money. So I
yeah.
don't care about
Is it a
that.
high
And I
ADR
also,
property? Is it like a
not even really. So it's interesting because I'm finding more about this now that there's a lot of people that stay booked like a lot. Like, maybe they're 60 to 80% all the time. Well, I think of occupancy over 12 months, so January to December. And while my summertime gets we're really high up there. We're 80 to 100% occupied most of the summer. Well, the rest of the year, my shoulder seasons drop down quite a bit. So I make enough during the summer, though, that makes everything worthwhile the rest of the year. So if I average out my occupancy, it's actually around 40% for the whole entire year
but
because
you're
of
so
those
booked
really
during the high
high.
season that you can make your money back and the ADR is
Yeah,
worth
like
it.
we still make money. We've made money every single year. There's one house that we kind of make money on. No matter what, we still bring $10,000 in gross profit, net profit. So in my pocket, I just call it in
Yep,
my pocket.
yep, I like
So
that.
I make like the lowest amount we make is 10,000 and I'm still trying to figure out how to make that house work or sell it. I just don't like to sell my real estate, but otherwise the rest of the houses make anywhere from 20 to $40,000 in
So
my pocket.
so so you kind of, and we'll talk more about the mechanics there in a little bit, right? But so
Hmm.
you ended up, you know, wrong time, wrong place, right? Ended up
Yeah,
kind
I
of
guess.
falling into the STR industry. You were already in real estate. This was a kind of escape valve for you for that property. And that property ended up being able to drive some success. And that gave you a taste of kind of of, what you could do with short-term rentals. Did you continue flipping after your first rental, or did you say, no, I'm going to go all in, I want to do more of these STRs?
We kept flipping, but we don't really flip anymore because I realized that that's not necessarily the greatest idea for my marriage because I take things home with me. So, like, sometimes flipping is really like it's for certain people. I have some friends that are so good at flipping and they don't take, that plumber pissed me off today. They don't take that home with them. I take that home with me. So, I flipped, we've probably still flipped another 5 houses or 10 houses
Okay.
after that,
Okay.
but we kept a couple of them. It was then it was a different, my mind changed to, okay, can this be a short-term rental? And then eventually we got to the point where we were buying them for short-term rental. So we have 4 total right now. We have 3 in St. Paul and 1 in Minneapolis. And then we had another one in Minneapolis that we sold earlier this year that just it was more of a midterm rental. It just didn't work as well. So it did turn into, let's just get short-term rentals. And now I haven't bought anything in like a year and a half, 2 years, I think, because our short-term rentals just kind of do their thing, and that's pretty fun for me.
You mentioned midterm rentals. So do you
Mhm.
operate any of your short-term rentals that have a slow shoulder season or off season? Do you operate them as midterm? Like, do you do any flex stuff where you flex up to mid or long and then you do short term in the hot season?
So I have done that before. We do have a house that is in a really good spot to do that. I could probably make it into a full-time midterm rental and I'd be fine. It makes enough, like, so much more money though as a short term that I don't
Yeah.
want to. I
Yeah.
might, like, I guess I've never experimented with just jacking up the price and like saying, "Hey, like let's do it this way and we'll make $6,000 a month and we don't have to worry." I am kind of resistant to that because I enjoy hearing the stories of the people that I get to accommodate. Like that house
Yeah.
specifically is only like 5 houses down from a stadium for a private college in St. Paul. It's called
Okay.
McAllister College. It's a nice fancy school. It's pretty expensive to go to. People from all over the country come to Minnesota just to go to that college. And those parents come back and they come back and they come back. And hey, now he's, a senior in baseball. And, I
Yeah.
remember when he was a
And then
freshman
you
in
probably have
baseball.
alumni and everything, right? It's like a really fun.
Yeah.
So is was that the what was the first house that kind of made you, like, when did you start thinking about a brand? Like, how did you go from, okay, I have a property, people are renting it out, to like thinking about a company and a brand and something that matters more, that transcends each individual house for you?
Yeah, I think I actually don't remember at this point, like when I picked Yay, You're Here. It might have been right away. Like, I mean, we have an like our holdings company is actually something different. So I say it's Yay, You're Here, and that's what our social media is and stuff, and that's how they're themed. But I think I probably started doing it relatively quickly because our first house was a 5 bedroom, and I really did think I love having girls' weekends. I hate not being able to find a place for 12 people because I'm just
Right.
like, I want to go hang out with my pals. I don't want to spend $1,000 or $1,500 a night or $3,000 a night because I don't have friends that can afford stuff like that. They just
Yeah.
like I would have
Yeah,
to pay for it, and I'm
that's
not.
out of most people's price range, and it's nice
Yeah,
to be able to do a short-term rental where you don't have to do that, right? Yeah.
yeah, it absolutely does. So I just kind of opted to, start that pretty much from the beginning and knowing that so we have a 5 bedroom, we have a 6 bedroom. Those ones, like that was my first one as a 5 bedroom. The 6 bedroom was the last one I bought and it was specific to I want to be able to have big huge groups here. So that happened. And then we have a 3 bedroom that's right next to the college. That was a sweet deal. That's really what, like, it was on the market as a really sweet deal. There was a pool in the backyard that had to be demoed. There was a garage in the backyard that had to be demoed, like stuff like that. So that one was a pretty heavy flip. And then the other one was another one that we were flipping. It wouldn't sell. The city wouldn't allow us to add on without adding a basement. Like there was a whole thing. So that one's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. So it's really small. It's not anything like we do the other stuff. So that one's been probably my most difficult one, and just trying to figure out how do I make it make
Right.
money because it
Did you
makes
find those
$10,000.
issues out after the purchase?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, we hired an architect because again, we were just adding square foot to it, and we were just gonna put it on piers, like like literally. Like in Minnesota, we have basements, so you have to. There's certain requirements depending on the city of what it needs to look like under when you add something on. Well, we were just putting it on piers, so it means we didn't have to dig out more basement. Well, they disagreed with us, but they disagreed with us 2 months after we submitted for permit. So, yeah.
Okay, let's go back, because this stuff is like infinitely interesting to me, because anyone who buys real estate, either flipping or short term rentals, or just even for your own primary residence, like,
Mhm.
it's always scary, the concept that you buy something with a vision in mind, right? And you get excited about it, and then all of a sudden, like the long arm of the law comes and just like smacks it out of your hand. You can't do that. So tell me
Yeah,
about
that
this
totally
peers thing.
happens.
Like, what were you doing with peers? Like,
So a pier is like, I mean, when you build something, it has to sit on top of something. In
it's like a
Minnesota, we have
foundation.
basements. Yeah, essentially, it's a foundation. So normally we have basements, which is a foundation. It's like all these blocks, obviously, and you have to dig it out and stuff like that. Well, there's a pier version. So essentially, like if you were to want to like add a room off the back of your house, it has to stand on something. It would typically go on piers. Well, we looked through the city code and found out we can actually have pier. Like we that was okay. It's just this the city of Minneapolis isn't the most friendly in the world to a lot of things. Like just in general, like they're kind of more difficult to work with than the city of St. Paul. City of St.
Okay.
Paul is for business, they're for rentals, they're for a lot of things. And it seems like they must have stronger landlords in St. Paul that, you know, talk to the city council versus Minneapolis is just different. We're just going to call it different. They have a very different version of this. So the people that work for the city, they get to do whatever they want, honestly. Like this is the reason that people are deterred by some things is because they can
Interesting.
make whatever decision they want. So we went back and forth with them just
And
a
it's
little
kind of
bit. And
final at that point in time. It's not like you can get around
yeah,
it.
like you can
Yeah.
challenge it, but then you're just spending money. So I would have had to spend money with my architect and potentially a lawyer to tell
Right.
them, well, according to city code, we don't have to do this, that it can be on piers. It's just, I don't know, that guy's personal preference that day. Sometimes this is the reason I don't like. I mean, a lot of people don't like to work with cities because of this, is because truly you could get one permit inspector guy or a building inspector that's just kind of, you know, on a
Yeah.
high horse or that's
Yeah.
just doesn't like anybody. And it doesn't mean that we as flippers and we as contractors and all of that aren't asshats as well.
How
That
do you
like
think
push it.
you mitigate that, right? By obviously you did your research because you were
I
right,
did.
right?
Yeah.
You know, what advice would you give someone else to not get into a situation like that? Because that seems like pretty challenging and a
I
potential
think
loss for you.
Well, so I mean, for me, it was just another flip at that point. So there is a certain point where you just kind of are like, whatever, we'll do what we need to. And then I made money using, you know, just
Yeah.
having it be a short term rental. But in general, one thing that I think you could apply to short term rentals that's really, really important around this is doing your research about your market. And research does not mean going into a Facebook group and saying, hey, can I have a short term rental here? Like that is not research. I see a lot of people have that happen, or they rely on their realtor to find out if they can have a short term rental. I'm
Right.
just like, you're the one who, like, you're holding the bag at the end. It does not
Right.
matter what anybody told you. Everybody could lie to you. Everybody could tell you the truth. It doesn't matter. But doing your research on the other end of making sure that it's okay. So, again, like with a short term rental,
Talk to the
finding
city,
out,
talk to the
yeah,
township, find out if there's a, you
yeah,
know,
put in
if
a
you
Google
want,
alert.
yeah,
Like you always have to have a Google alert with your city plus short-term rental. And I recommend anybody do that. I don't care if you've had a short-term rental for 10
mm,
years because finding out what is happening in your city, because I don't actually live in St. Paul. I live on the other side of the city right now. So if something's happening in the news for the city of St. Paul, like I don't read the newspaper. I don't read city council minutes. I don't care about any of that. Like I don't consume news the way that maybe we would have 10 or 15 years ago. So I wouldn't know if there are rumblings about somebody wanting to get rid of short-term rentals in the city of St. Paul. St. Paul, I'm pretty safe with, but you know, there's another town in Minnesota called White Bear Lake. We were just looking at a house there. Well, I Googled all of it and they don't actually have any regulations about short-term rentals
that's
yet.
scary.
It's just a rental license. And it's really fantastic for all the people that have them there now, but it's not going to be fantastic if they don't get grandfathered in.
Right.
So having that Google alert is just like what's happening in that city because you
That's
never
really
know when
smart.
it's going
That's
to
a really
change.
smart tip to set that Google alert for cities that you're in, cities that you're thinking about, townships, HOAs, right? Because the reality is like, you know, a lot of people in the industry will recommend that every rentalpreneur, every owner should be, you know, on their city council, on their HOA, on their renters board. But like you
How
can't,
much
you know,
time do you have though? But
it's
how
like,
much time do you have?
hey,
Like
right?
you don't
But
have
also
time for
not only
that.
that, like, you know, what if you have 4 rentals in 4 different places? I mean, now you have 4. You're on 4 boards, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it may
that's not
not
feasible
be
at all. I've
it
been
may
in
not
an
be
HOA.
feasible.
Not good for
Yeah, it may not be
HOAs.
feasible. And then also, like, you know, look, we've all dealt with HOAs before. Sometimes, like, you're not. Let's say it this way. Sometimes, like, there will not be an accretive value generation with you being on the HOA. right?
Yeah,
So
well, and you
a
might get
little
one person that hates you, and like a personality hates you. So
right
literally, we'll take away short-term rentals because they
because they
personality
hate
hate
you.
you.
Yeah, like
It
you
has
may actually
nothing to
make it
do with
worse
anything
by
else.
yeah, like, and I agree that like if all else is equal, if you're able to find the time that you can get on that board and sit on that community council or whatever and add value, awesome, right? Especially if you're concentrated in that area for your
Yeah.
investments. But like there's a risk associated with that. And I think what you suggested is a nice middle ground of like, hey, at least just put on the Google alerts, you know?
Yep, Airbnb, VRBO,
Right.
short-term rental. Like those are like it's got to be all of them because some people still refer to us as different things and people
Yeah.
don't always write short-term rental. So you want to put your city plus that and you will just get a slew
Yeah,
of
and for
info.
anyone that doesn't know how to do that, you can literally go to Google and you go to the news tab, and there's like a little thing there to set an alert, or you can even Google how to set a Google
How to set a
alert,
Google
right? I
alert?
mean,
Yes.
you know, everyone, not everyone's setting up Google alerts here, but like you should definitely. I think that's great. I'm actually going to do that. That's really good advice. I think the only I have two Google alerts right now. One is for Futurestay, surprise, right?
Mhm.
But the other one is for my name because
Oh yeah.
you know, I want to know every once in a while someone will write an article about me. I'm not sure why. But the funny thing with my name is so my full name is actually Sean Philip Belton Kennard. It's very long, right? But the
Yeah.
name that I go by normally, just for sake of not having everyone
Ease.
forget my name all the time, is just Philip Kennard. And there
Mhm.
are three other Philip Kennard. Like there's probably a million Philip Kennards in the world, but there are three other. Well, sorry, three total. I guess including me. I'm calling
Mhm.
myself prominent. That is just for purposes of this podcast. But there are three prominent Philip Kennards. One is an F1 driver. Like he drives
Awesome.
Formula One race cars. It seems like he drives them in like a minor league or something. I don't even really know, but like, because you know, I've never seen him on TV or anything, but I hear his name when I look him up. I see like he won a little thing. The other is a Philip Kennard who's a New Zealand personal wealth like something like he's retired and he's a big like landowner in New Zealand. So with this
Ooh,
guy, it's funny because he and I have the same Gmail minus like one letter difference. And so I'll get
no.
his Gmail and he'll get mine and we send the emails back and forth
Awesome.
to
That's
each other. So I keep the
fantastic.
Google alert on for Philip Kennard and 99 times out of 100, like I mean 9 times out of 10, it's like
It's for one of them.
it's one of those guys, but like every
The
once in a
formula
while you
guy.
get your own and you're like, okay, you know, it's worth checking.
I feel so special. Yeah.
I feel special. It's about me, not the F1 driver, right? But it is cool. One day I have to have a Philip Kennard meet up with the other two Philip Kennards. I've already,
That'd
like,
be
literally, we're already
awesome.
setting, like, I'm like, hey, when you guys are coming to New York, we have an email thread.
Just let me know. I'm here. That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, like, set the Google alerts up, really smart. I'm
Hmm.
gonna literally do that like right after this because I
Hmm.
think I should do that, and you know, you got to stay on top of it. And yeah, the reality is like you may not be able to, you can't be everywhere at once, and so
Hmm.
that's like a little bit of a proxy, having someone kind of looking at your neighborhood for you. And so okay,
Absolutely.
so let's go back to kind of where we are in this journey. So you now have 4 STRs, correct?
Yes.
And you have your company set up, and you're not necessarily expanding right this second because you're happy with where you are.
Yeah. I'm doing
Tell me,
other
I
things.
want to talk about this because one of the things that frustrates me the most about the short-term rental industry is that there is a perception that everyone that bigger is better, and that you know if you, I mean, like this actually, like, pardon my French, actually pisses me off. Like when I go to conferences and things like that or meetups, and you go and you're talking to people that are there, and you know, I'll say to someone, "Oh, you know, are you an STR operator? Or, you know, you're owner?" And they'll say, "Oh, yeah, I only have one property." I'm like, you only have one?
Hmm.
Like you feel bad because you only have one property." And the reality is like you're already living part of the dream that you set for yourself. Like you are
Yeah.
on the map. Like you're now in the game. And now you may want to grow, and that's fine, but don't sell yourself short because you've already achieved something that literally millions of people are dreaming of, right? And where you want to go, you get to set those goals for yourself. You don't have to follow someone else's goal. You know, a lot of people don't know that less than 1% of hosts in this industry, owners, hosts, even managers, manage more than 20 properties. Less than 1%, right?
Wow.
I
That's
mean,
wild.
it's really small. It's 0.6% actually, right?
Hmm.
And the reality is that like most rentalpreneurs are people like me and you that have one or two or three or four, like less than 5 units. that's who actually runs this industry. Like, this industry is
Hmm.
really for and about people like us. And I get so frustrated when I hear people great, oh, they're a small host or they're this.
Hmm.
Like, no, 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 no. We're the bread and butter of this industry. If every single operator with more than 20 hosts disappeared like the Avengers Thanos snap, it wouldn't even
Hmm.
matter to this industry, because the reality is 99% of the supply is like regular owner operated.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I love some of those guys. Some of those guys are my friends that run these big companies, right? Because I
Hmm.
run the software company, so I'm in the same circles that they are. But the rentalpreneur is where this industry really lives. That's who it's for. That's who the guests like the best. We get the best reviews. We have the
Yeah,
highest property
for
values in
sure.
most cases, and we take the best care of it because it's ours.
Hmm.
And so I want to hear you talk a little bit about like what is how did you know when you didn't have to grow anymore? That doesn't mean you're not going to grow more in the future, but like
Hmm.
when you got to that point, you're like, I'm pretty happy right here. What did that feel like for you?
So that's a ever changing and ever evolving conversation. I think knowing like that conversation does need to be fluid, because you might get an opportunity that you is your dream property or something, and so you don't want to be hard and fast with that. But I think I have a lot of experience in chasing other people's dreams. I've been like I was a house flipper, and I chased other people's dreams, not knowing they were other people's dreams, and it's
Mm,
just you can very easily in real estate or in these areas of entrepreneurship, you can easily get wrapped up in other people's and what they're doing, and like the grass is greener kind of situation. But in addition to that, like wanting that too, because you get so excited. There's like a frenzy when you're in a mastermind and you're around all these people. Like, I have friends with thousands of doors. I have friends with 3 apartment buildings that's 180 doors. I have friends with 3 doors. Like, it doesn't, like, the door count doesn't matter. It's
mm,
really has to be about the lifestyle that you want to live. And I was really caught up in the lifestyle I didn't necessarily want to live. Like, I didn't know I didn't want to flip houses. It took me a long time to figure out that flipping houses wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I had to essentially get permission from somebody. I had to hang out with some people that knew me well enough that said, Tanya, you don't have to do this, right? And it took a little while. And then finally I was like, holy shit, I totally don't have to do this. This is awesome.
wow.
Because you just get attached to these things. Like, and it's funny, you could say this about any industry. It doesn't matter. Somebody like just got into insurance and they've been selling insurance for 2 years and they're starting to build their book of business, and then they're like they hate it, so much because insurance just isn't their jam, or becoming
Mm,
a contractor or a carpenter. It doesn't matter what it is. And then but they're tied to that. They're just like, yeah, but I just did all this work. I just did all, like, paid for all this schooling. I just paid for all this certifications. Who
mm,
the hell cares? Like, the average person in America lives to, like, I don't know, I usually say 70 or 75. I don't actually know what's true, but assume you're going to leave till you're freaking 70.
yeah.
There are, like, okay, and when I started in real estate, like, I was in my 20s, now I'm in my late 30s. If imagine I could do something regularly for the next 20 years, and you know how many things I could do instead? Like, getting 5 years of experience, I could do 4 different big career
Hmm.
changes if I
Hmm.
wanted. So, and this is the same case. Like, real estate, people get really attached to this thing. Or one of my pet peeves is, well, I really want to buy apartment buildings. Like, a lot of people want to buy apartment buildings. That's their thing. I want to buy apartment buildings, but I'm going to build this wholesaling company so I can get enough money to buy apartment buildings. And I've said this to so many people. I'm just like, wait a minute. So you're going to literally start a new business, figure out how to do this business. Wholesaling, by the way, is getting places off market. So it's like skipping the realtor, going directly to somebody, your neighbor that owns a house, and you wanting to buy that house from them.
Hmm.
That's like what wholesalers do. And then they'll sell it to somebody else like me that wants to flip it. So, but wholesaling is literally a marketing business. It is a marketing and sales business. So I always challenge people. I'm like, so you want to start a whole new business, figure out how to do sales and marketing, figure out how to get houses under contract, be good at sales, and then have to figure out how to disposition them. So then you have to find people that want to buy those deals so that you can make 10 to 25, $5 to $40,000 on a wholesale, which is completely fine. That's like a version of getting a commission. And also you can save enough money to buy an apartment building.
Right.
Whereas there are tons of people in this country that buy apartment buildings or short term rentals Like I buy short-term rentals without my own money. Like I use other people's money. I do things creative. Some of it I still have money. I like still have to have some kind of
Right.
savings or like a net in the background, but I don't use my own money. Like if I had somebody say I needed a $200,000 down payment, that does like effort. I don't automatically think I don't have $200,000. Like I don't
Right.
care about that.
Right.
So people do this thing where they build this whole business so that they can,
Yeah.
and they stay in a business as well because they can't figure out a way out or they hate it. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm just like, well, I don't have to flip. It's such great news. Like I do not want to flip houses.
Yeah.
And the same for anybody that's in real estate. You don't have to do that thing. You don't have to be a real estate agent. You don't have to have long term rentals. You can just have short term rentals and you can love them. And you don't have to, like, I know a couple of guys that have hundreds of properties in their property management company. Atomic stays out in Denver. That
Hmm.
guy loves his business. He does
Hmm.
not want to have one house. He wants to have this big portfolio. He's good at building teams. He's really good with clients. He's good at all of these things that
Hmm.
lend a hand to having hundreds of properties. I don't want to do that. And I think realizing like that is the most important thing of like why you want to do and where you want to go. Like, because how much you need. Because do you need 10 properties? Do you need two properties? Because you don't
How did you
have
let
to
me but
have
let me ask you
this.
this. How did you know, like, I get knowing when you're in the wrong place. How did you
Yeah.
know when you were in the right place? Like, how did you know that
Well,
this was right?
recently it's because I get to do whatever I want. That like it takes a while. Sometimes there's like moments that I can see, like, if you have a schedule and there's milestone stars, I can now recognize the moments, but you have to get through it to get to those moments. Like recently, I had a moment where I was in Ireland and Portugal for 3 weeks in September. Me and my husband went and got to hang out, and I had all these expectations for this trip to come back figuring out some clarity of where I wanted to go next because I don't want a big portfolio. I don't intend to. I'm going to buy some more, but I don't know what it is. So I had this big, huge intention. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be so amazing. I'm going to come home and I'm finally going to know what the heck I want to do with my life. Well, weird. When I got home, I freaking didn't. I didn't even kind of know that. And I was really pissy about it. I was just like, seriously, I had like the worst trip hangover because I'm like, damn it, I don't know these things. So I got on a call with some of my friends that I've been talking to every Thursday for the last 2 or 3 years. And they're like, wait a minute, Tanya, let's talk about this further. Like, what did it look like? How much did you have to work while you were on vacation? Like, they asked me all these questions and they're like, do you remember when that was your goal? Like, was just to like get to travel with your husband, get to go wherever you want
Oh,
and not necessarily have to
wow.
work. And it was
Yeah.
like this big bomb went off in my head that I'm like, holy shit. Like, I literally dreamed of the life I'm living today. And it takes a little while to get there. Like, I think mine is 7 years or 8 years or whatever. But I
Yeah.
am truly living the life that I dreamed of when I worked at
Yeah.
CBRE, when I was in my late 20s and I was
Right.
like, holy crap, like, I really want to live this life. And I would write down my perfect life and my perfect day and what does it look like. I can do just about everything on that, except for like, I don't make millions of dollars, but I don't necessarily care about millions of dollars.
Right.
Like, I would love to make a few $100,000 a year, but I actually get to live the life I live on very little. I get
Yeah.
to go for a walk whenever I want. The
Yeah.
biggest problem I have now is that I don't have friends that also can do this. They either have kids or they have jobs or they have both. So that means on Tuesday afternoon, if I want to hang out with somebody, I have to find somebody that also has a business similar to mine or that
Right.
is can take it off, because now it's like a problem of, well, where the heck my friends can only hang out on nights and weekends and around their kids
I
schedules.
got you.
So
So
yes.
that's really interesting. So,
Hmm.
you had to kind of recenter a bit, right? And figure
Hmm.
out, like, not figure out, like, you set the goals for yourself.
Hmm.
And I think it is common for people to get so fixated on goal hunting, right? That they blow past a lot of people don't go anywhere towards their goals, but people that do can blow past their goal, look at that as
Hmm.
a stepping stone towards a bigger thing, and then not realize that they're already achieving or have, already living the life they wanted. I mean, it sounds like one of the things that you do really well is you have I don't want to call them like accountability partners. You're talking about like a mastermind, maybe it's a mix of friends, business, etc. But tell me about how you got that set up and like whether or not you recommend that for other people.
So, great segue. He didn't even set this up, guys. I have a podcast called Tribe Builders. It's literally about how business with other people goes farther, faster, better.
Awesome. I did not
Because
know that.
no, you wouldn't have known. So it's really interesting, though. I am a really big cheerleader of this. I'm a cheerleader of paying for masterminds, paying for coaching, paying to be around those people. And the reason I say you need to pay is because free Facebook groups are gross. Like, if you are a short-term rental person and you have joined any free Facebook group in your market, the likelihood is you've seen people be rude to each other. You've seen people criticize the way they, oh my God, you charge for late checkouts. I'm not trying to nickel and dime everybody. But you're just like, hey, Susie, you have one, and that's in addition to this, and you clean it every Tuesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. And I'm trying to make a business out of it because I don't want to clean. I want to pay somebody to clean. So those kinds of places, free Facebook groups, are like spots for criticism. So if you pay to be around the people that you have the same values with, or that you're like, I mean, if it's about hospitality, if it's about buying more, you're literally shortening the gap of doing whatever that is. Like, you have to hang around people that are either doing it, have already done it, or that are also trying to do it. Because if you hang out, like my buddy used to say, if you hang out with turkeys, you're never going to be an eagle. You have to hang out with eagles. And it's a really silly thing, but he seriously
It's not,
said
I
it
mean,
so
look, it
much that now
sounds
I think
silly, but
about
that's
it.
actually,
It is.
people often say like you are the average of your friends, right? And so you add them all together and you're like, that's where you end up, right? I don't know if that's
Yeah.
accurate or not,
No,
but I think
but
there's
it's
some
totally
truth in it.
accurate.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
truth.
Phil, I'm certain that you, I mean, you've even said this exact thing already on this podcast episode. You made a comment saying, yeah, well, I hang out with those people. I hang out with the property managers that have 100 plus because I have a piece of software, and there's a reason you hang around those people. And yes, you're looking at them as clients, but you're also looking at them as peers. So the more peers you hang out with, you find out things faster. You can figure out a best practice. Like, I hang out with all kinds of hosts all the time. And while I don't want to do it exactly like my friend Kylan or exactly like my friend Wendy, I can get both of their opinions on how to do something or how they do it in their business. And I could get three more opinions, and then I can do an average or a mix of all of those opinions. And I can say, cool, Host Buddy works really well for me. Hospitable works really well for me. Price Loves works really well for me. But my friends have all kinds of different tech stacks. So this is the whole point of finding other people in your journey, and you can pay for it. You can target people and find, hey, I need 5 people to just come and hang out with me so we can figure out social media for our direct booking site. Like, you can do stuff like that. And I think that's like, when you take those steps, like, they're kind of a pain in the ass in the beginning, but then it's like a second nature. Like, I don't have to tell my husband, who is always going to side with me. Like, if I'm pissed at a guest, he's always going to side with me and also say, yeah, raise the pitchfork. He will always raise the pitchfork with me. But sometimes I need the pitchfork, but most of the time I need, how do I deal with this? So I can't go to him. I need to go to my host friends,
You need to
because
go to your
they're the
support
ones who know
system.
what's going on. Yeah, you go to
Yeah,
your tribe. Like, I call it a tribe. So like,
yeah.
I just go to my tribe, and my tribe is different. Like, I mean, for different reasons. Like, some are really great at hosting, some are good at buying. Like, I don't actually go to my host friends if I need advice on how to buy a new one or where to find money for a new one. Like, those are my flipping friends and my other real estate friends.
Mm.
So I think, like, along the way, you have to build this network of all these people. And it can be hard, but it could also be 2 people. Like, it doesn't have to be this big, huge thing where you need 50 people. I happen to have a ton of people, but that's like the person that I am. And
If
I
you were
think,
recommending to someone that didn't have a tribe, right?
mhm,
Where would you think they should start? Right? There's someone they're listening to this, they're thinking, this sounds great. I'm interested. I
yeah,
want to set my own goals. I want to control my own life, right? I want to
yeah.
learn about either investing my own money or other people's money or whatever the case is, but I'm ready to get started
Mhm.
right now and change things. Like, where would they go to start building this tribe?
So sadly, I would tell them it depends. They could totally message me, and I'd probably at least put them in a spot. But I tend to find, who are the industry experts that I care to listen to.
Hmm.
Who do I like their voice? Honestly, like, if you're listening to their podcast all the time and you think they're annoying or you hate them, they are already not your people. But like, if you want to get better at hosting and like hospitality, like, I send people to Thanks for Visiting, because they have a great podcast, but they have a really great mastermind. If you want, just, you want it to be super cheap, but you want to be able to have lots of exposure to all kinds of different hosts, then I would say, Stacey St. John has a cool program. And then Hospitable Host has a really good program. Like, there's these different programs, but it's all about what you're looking for. Like, I tell people, you need to underwrite the mastermind. you're going to
Mm,
spend anywhere from $200 a year up to $15,000 a year, or $25,000 a year if you want it to be a motel. Like, there's different ways to do this, but you kind of got to underwrite that. You need to actually talk to the people that run the group, and then get references. I always tell people you need to call 1 to 2 references that are in the group and ask the questions of, like, what do you want out of the group? Are they getting that out of the group? They might not care about those goals, but they still would know, yeah, that it's probably a great fit, or no, that's probably not a good fit, because you really need to learn underwriting. Well, thanks for visiting doesn't talk about underwriting a deal. They're not really for you going and buying a deal, like, as in figuring out
right,
how to buy a deal. They're
right.
for your processes, your revenue management, your, knowing your RevPAR, knowing your ADR, like all of
That's going
that
to come out
stuff
of a
is a
different
good one.
community. Yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is.
if you
So it
want to learn
really
how to like
depends.
create the best stay and the best experience and so on, like you're going to learn that
Yeah. Oh
there.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's about, like, finding who resonates with you and who's talking about that in their content, or who whatever, like, who you want to hang out with, and then you have to go find those people. And sometimes it is difficult, but it's as difficult as you decide it's going to be. If you think, like, already as soon as you think about it and you're just like, oh my god, I'm totally going to find all my people, like, go to a meetup locally. You'll probably
Yeah.
find
And
somebody that's
start there.
interested, and then start your own.
So let me I feel like you've done a really I can't judge anyone's journey, right? But it seems like you've really crafted a rentalpreneur journey that fits with your life, that fits with your
Yes,
goals, and you're
that
happy
is, I
with where you
agree.
are now. And look, there's always room to expand, there's always room to change things, but you're happy with where you are now. Looking back on it, what if you could give Tanya from, 7 years ago or whenever it was right before you started, like a piece of advice on this journey so she could move and navigate this journey maybe a little bit better than you did, what advice would you give, that Tanya?
It would probably be, don't sell houses. Like, I flipped so many. We flipped in wholesale probably like 20 some houses, and every time I regret something, it was always about selling a house, because
Wow.
now I think, man, it'd be like I would have so much more equity. But that's personally because of what I want. Like, I want a portfolio of things that are just kind of sitting there, and they make me money. It's awesome, but they're making me money and appreciation,
So
and
so
that's
it's
what I'm
it's
looking
don't sell
for.
houses, but like more specifically, that's the specific answer. But like if you kind of zoom out, it's don't do the things that you don't want to do, right? Like you don't have to build a business
Yes,
around. Well, that's what you're saying, really. Right? You
chasing
don't have to
chasing other
build a
people's
business chasing
goals.
other people's goals, right?
Yes, yes, like
Interesting.
finding the people that, like, I mean, it can be really hard, especially, like, I'm encouraging people to get into these masterminds, but
Yeah.
the masterminds are the reason that you'll chase things that you don't know if they're your goal or
So you
not.
need a
That's
balance,
why being clear about what you want and how you want to spend your time.
right?
Because, somebody just coming in and being like, "Oh, I want 100 doors." And I hate that comment. I actually hate doors. I think it's a stupid way that we talk about real estate, but it's the reality, so it's fine. So we'll just talk about it. But what do you actually want? Do you just want to say you own 100 doors? Because that
Mm.
is a version of people's goals, and that is okay. Do you really, is it about your ego because you want to show people that you can do that? Are you trying to prove something to people? Are you trying to get freedom because you don't want to have to go to the office, and you just had this kid and you really just want to hang out with your kid and, like, literally homeschool them and do these cool things? There is a version of business with every single goal, every single, like, dream life. And the sad thing is, it's not even that big. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people in our industry who do talk about doors and scaling, but then there are these people who are talking about lifestyle and, like, how do you match your lifestyle? That's why I say, like, I don't need millions of dollars. I already know that if I made $500,000 a year, my husband wouldn't have to work. I wouldn't have to have a normal job, and I could travel to pretty much everywhere that I want to and pay for everything I need and have a sweet house.
And
Like, I
you can
mean,
enjoy
that's
that
just,
trip without having to plan your
yeah,
next business venture while you're on the
yeah,
trip.
absolutely. Yeah, it's really funny, but it's completely true. So it's just
Yeah.
these things in hindsight are like knowing exactly why you want the thing. And sometimes in the beginning it's really hard to figure that out because you also can't imagine that life yet. You can't
Yeah.
imagine already knowing how to do that, because that's why I had the weird epiphany that I'm just like, holy shit, that is the life I was imagining 7 or 8 years ago. Like, I was truly imagining, salivating over this life where I could do whatever the heck I wanted. I could get on a plane and go places. I just didn't have to get up. I could get up whenever I wanted. I can go to the gym at 6 a.m. I can go to at 6 p.m. It doesn't actually matter. I don't have to fit it into my schedule. So that's the thing, is like really figuring out what do you want your life to look like and then matching your business to that. And if you are a person that really just wants to build an awesome business, that's okay too. Like there's all these versions of human
You get
beings.
to set your own goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, some people want to be Jeff Bezos. Like I personally don't want that much pressure on me. I don't want that much responsibility. I like to screw around and just like have fun. So I don't want that much money. I definitely, and I don't know if my personality is capable of any of that. I like even a tiny smidge, like even the guy from Atomic stays in Denver. I don't think I have the personality to have that kind of business. And that's okay.
But like that, the point here is that is
Yeah,
your call.
that's okay.
Like you don't have
Yeah.
to, right? You're not, that's not objectively better or worse than what you're doing. And
Yeah.
you crafted a path for yourself where you get to choose.
It's so fun.
Tanya, I absolutely loved hearing about your rentalpreneur journey. I feel like it's really, number one, I mean, I love the reason, like the hospitality reason behind it and the way that your brand is created, and it really reflects who you are. And I think that's inspiring to me, you know, and probably a lot of other people listening. I think the most inspiring thing though is how you've set and carved your own path, and you keep reminding yourself by having, you know, people that are accountability partners, mastermind partners, group partners in your life, to keep questioning, you know, are you chasing someone else's goals, or are you chasing your own goals? That's probably really inspiring to a lot of you listening, and definitely inspiring to me. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to learn more about Tribe Builders, is that right?
Yeah, Tribe Builders podcast. Yeah,
Tribe Builders podcast, or if they want to learn more about You're Here, how would they find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, Instagram's usually the easiest place. It's Tanya Rooney MN. You know, my name is spelled Tanya, and I'm sure he'll put it in the notes.
We'll drop in the show notes.
Perfect. And then I do have a website, tanyarooney.com. I'm actually launching something new. I'm creating a new community for women that are in corporate real estate. I mean, now my dream also evolves. Like, I feel like everybody's dream should evolve a little bit. Now I keep thinking about all the people that I got to leave behind because I don't have to have this corporate job anymore. And I'm thinking about like the safety and security that I've created with my journey. Like, if something happened to my husband, which I don't want anything to happen, I could recreate what I have. If something happened, like if I got fired from a job, so if I do still do some consulting, but if I had a corporate job right now and I got fired, there's like a lot of things that are uncertain right now. And like secure jobs, or traditionally secure jobs, are no longer secure in everybody's version of secure. Well, I can create whatever the heck I want now because I already know I can do it. I've already done it. I've bought all these houses. I flipped some houses. I have short-term rentals. I make money on them. So now I'm creating a space to have more women have that, because the idea of like them creating these kinds of businesses that will create wealth that they can show their children, that they can show themselves, that if something happens in their life and something blows up, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you can still be in control. Yeah,
like, I mean, keeping your corporate job and still being able to do this stuff and knowing like you actually have those capabilities, like no matter how many times you fail, all the stuff that made you fail, like that's all experience that you now get to use. So I'm creating something new that's going to be happening here this year that like is kind of geared towards that.
Okay.
So my website will change and stuff like
and
that.
That's but the really, Tanya Rooney website, so people can find that there.
Right now it's tanyarooney.com. It's going to change to something else, but Tribe Builders is staying intact at least for a little bit longer, and then it's probably going to morph into something else too, because there's again another evolution. But mainly find people that will help you on your journey, because if you're a solopreneur right now and you don't know that it's normal that guests do what they do, well, then you're going to be deterred. You're going to get out of this business faster than you would need to, because you don't know that everybody goes through that.
Everyone goes through the same things.
Smells like weed at one point in time. Everybody, has something broken at one point in time. Everybody gets a 4-star at one point of time. So, but come find me.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Anyone that wants to learn more about Tanya and her journey, you can contact her. We'll put all the contact information in the show notes. And if you are a rentalpreneur on your journey and you're looking to get to the next level, accelerate what you're doing, and most importantly, make sure that you own the relationship with your guests and are building a repeatable book of business, you should take a look at Futurestay. We can help you put together a direct booking website in less than 6 minutes, and also help optimize your Airbnb listing so you start performing better. You make more money and you keep more of it, and Futurestay helps you do both in just minutes. Everyone, I hope that you have productive rentalpreneur journeys towards the exact point where you want to be and not someone else's goals. Tanya, thank you for sharing yours with us, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, Phil.